Hello, collective. Sorry about the video format in the first reading. Okay, that might be silenced. Anyways, let's dive into it. So this probably could be continuation to that reading that I just did, but these are the interesting choice of words that I was tuning into: bulimia, whore, and daddy. Okay, so I don't know if somebody's father figure um made you bulimic, okay, called you names, the names that I just mentioned. It feels quite an abusive family dynamic, okay. um I'll probably have to change my title, but I'm thinking about how I should add nobody wins when the family feuds, okay. um But this is not to be taken light. I did mention in the first reading anything that has to do with some sort of disorder, like disorder in yourself or around you, stems from trauma, okay? And this is why you could be suffering from an eating disorder. Now, this is the aftermath. This is the second part of that. I feel like that's the case. Um, or what I was tuning into, right? When I finished that reading. I know how old you are, but I think it's an abusive household, and I know easier said than done. On a personal note, I don't think it's gonna get better, even if it's just verbally abusive. Okay, I don't know if this is like the aftermath or if it's going on right now, but to be in a space where you are degrading or letting yourself to be degrade, letting others degrade you, whether you are a grown up or younger, because I do remember that I talked about my my encounter when I first got to know about the archangels, and that was in my teenager years, junior high, teenage years, right? So that could be like correlating. You could be suffering from this toxic family dynamic here, where the choice of words that I just mentioned could have been your daily environment, okay? And I would say this even if it's just one time, and I know it's much easier when you're younger to escape from toxicity, because obviously you don't have custody over yourself. During that time, find people that you can have some sort of support. It is much harder when you're dealing with people that are abusive and they see them in a good light, okay? Coming from experience, I will say this, that the only logical, because I can relate, okay? So the only logical path right now, because social media is so out and about, I feel like it's a good time to share, okay? So you can start building your stuff. Because if you're watching my readings, I know for a fact you can click on your YouTube and film. Okay. If you have access to a phone, um, you can film on that and post on that. Okay. Again, I don't know where you guys live, so I'm not quite sure if your support system in itself will be helpful. I would hope so, but I also am aware of how things are structured. Speaking from personal experience and dealing with people in that setting. Okay. So this is part two. If you have faced anything of this nature in terms of the eating disorder, the degrading, the toxicity, and this is your message, or it's somebody else's message in relation to you. Like maybe you're having some sort of suspicion that somebody outside of you is going through something toxic and you don't understand why they're not eating. Trauma, okay, in this case is toxic family environment, because I will also say this, not everybody goes through. Actually, no. The reason why anyone has a disorder um, of any kind is stem from trauma. Like I don't feel like people that are like okay mentally, physically, have any disorders or condition. I feel like, you know, and in this case, it's something toxic, right? So yeah, I'm that's all I'm gonna stand by it. Okay, so this is part two. There are people that are like upset because they don't get it though. You could be one of those people that don't really like to share because they could be, or this person that you know could be upset as well. Like if you're in their face and about how like why are you not eating, blah blah. I'm gonna tell you this: it's not easy for anyone to open up about their trauma. Okay, just like I'm like hesitating on trying to give some like textbook advice. I know for a fact how things can go when you share your story, when you share your stuff, and it's like one example I can mention here, like an old Gemini friend of mine. She had this thing where she's like, always counting calories and whatnot, and we were like in middle school, and she was literally normal size, but because her sister, um, older sister at that, had this model-esque body, and it wasn't like she was well in terms of her height and her weight, it looked model-esque, and she always used to tell me that she Binksy, and she has the up and down, and she's always jolly, and everything is 10-10. But then she's kind of like she has those depressive moments where it's like even if things are good at home and they have everything they ever wanted and so on, she gets compared to a sister all the time. And that's stressful and that's traumatic, and that is something that is them like it's toxic. Like if you're being compared to your sibling and you see it visually and why there's comparison, like you know a lot of people might not view it as toxic and be like, "Yo, get over it." Like it's not that deep. But like when you're in it, it's a different story. Now that's just an example of what somebody went through in my personal life, and you're trying to help them and so on. But it's kind of like that was like it's deeper than that. And they also have this stigma when it comes to therapy. Things got better for them when they moved out. You know. But she was also very keen on like trying to live a fast life because she didn't want to be seen as the chubby sibling, even though she was normal size. But if you put her next to her really skin like sister, it's a different story. And the funny thing is that her sister is normally built that way, genetic wise, right? But she isn't. My Gemini friend wasn't, and it is genetics, but people do compare, and it's a bit different when you are from certain cultures that put where there's this rivalry comparison. You know what? This is not what this is. No, the message was is this: somebody's in a toxic environment, and this is why they have bulimia. Okay, they're being degraded by family members. It could also be outside family, like outside, like extended internal families as well, right? Because I feel me breaking down this situation with a past Gemini friend of mine, it has relevance. You know, you don't have to go through something severe to have like a disorder. But 10 times out of 10, that usually is the case. Okay. So, yeah, that is the message, collective. Thank you for stopping by and collecting journal life.